Welcome to this ILMS Academy session on one of the most important questions facing India's startup ecosystem today. Will the new labor codes crush or boost India's startups? India has over 100,000 recognized startups. It is the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. And for the last decade, much of that growth was built on a foundation of flexibility, lean teams, contractual hiring, gig workers, ESOP-heavy packages, and rapid scaling up and down. The new labor codes now change the rules of that game. By consolidating more than 40 central labor laws into 4 comprehensive codes, the Code on Wages, the Industrial Relations Code, the Social Security Code, and the OSH Code, the government has created a more unified, formalized, and in many ways more demanding compliance environment. For large corporations, this is manageable. For early-stage startups with 5 to 50 employees, no dedicated HR team, and a burn rate they watch daily, this is a significant challenge. In this video we will examine 8 key areas, the 4 codes and what they mean specifically for startups, the impact on hiring flexibility, compensation and ESOPs, the gig and platform economy, compliance burden, investor confidence, sector-by-sector effects, and the long-term outlook. The honest answer to crush or boost is, it depends. Let us find out on what. Before examining the impact, let us quickly establish what each of the 4 new labor codes actually does and why it matters to startup founders specifically. The Code on Wages, 2019, consolidates 4 old wage laws. For startups, the most significant change is the unified minimum wage requirement, the 50% basic wage rule that affects how salary packages are structured, and the revised overtime and bonus calculation framework. The Industrial Relations Code, 2020, is the one that generates the most founder anxiety. It formalizes fixed-term employment, tightens layoff and retrenchment rules, and requires government approval for workforce reductions above certain thresholds. For early-stage startups that need to move fast, hire and let go quickly, this creates friction. The Social Security Code, 2020, is arguably the most far-reaching for the startup ecosystem. It unifies PF, SE, gratuity, and maternity benefits, and critically, it extends coverage to gig and platform workers. For Zomato, Swiggy, Urban Company, and hundreds of similar startups, this is a game changer. And the OSH Code, 2020, standardizes workplace safety and working hour rules. Tech startups with office or hybrid teams face lighter compliance here. But for startups in D2C, logistics, warehousing, or manufacturing, the OSH Code adds meaningful operational obligations. The key takeaway: not all startups are equally affected. A 5-person SaaS startup faces a very different compliance burden from a 50-person logistics startup or a 200-person manufacturing company. Let us now examine what the codes actually change about how startups hire, manage, and restructure their workforce. On the challenging side, the Industrial Relations Code introduces government approval requirements for layoffs and retrenchment above certain workforce thresholds. For a startup that needs to move fast during a pivot, a market downturn, or a funding crunch, this creates friction that simply did not exist before. Gig and contractual hiring, the backbone of many Indian startups, now triggers Social Security contribution obligations under the Social Security Code. This is a meaningful cost increase, particularly for startups with large numbers of freelancers, delivery partners, or temporary workers. And fixed-term workers are now entitled to the same pay as permanent employees doing similar work, which limits the cost arbitrage that many startups relied on when hiring short-term staff at lower rates. On the positive side, fixed-term employment is now formally structured in law, giving startups a clean, legally recognized framework for project-based or seasonal hiring. This reduces ambiguity and the risk of misclassification disputes. Formalized employment practices improve a startup's ability to attract and retain high-quality talent. Strong candidates increasingly scrutinize whether a company has structured employment contracts, proper benefits, and clear HR policies. And from an investor perspective, which we will cover in more detail later, having documented, compliant HR practices significantly reduces due diligence risk during funding rounds. Net effect: early-stage startups below key thresholds face manageable friction. The real pressure is on startups with larger, more diverse workforces. Let us now look at how the new labor codes affect the compensation structure and cost model of startups. The 3 indicators at the top of this slide capture the direction: costs go up, ESOP strategy is indirectly affected, and the balance between fixed and variable pay shifts. On salaries, the Code on Wages introduces the 50% basic wage rule. At least half of an employee's total remuneration must be classified as basic pay, the base on which PF contributions, gratuity, and overtime are calculated. Many startups previously structured packages with low basic pay and high allowances to minimize statutory deductions and maximize enhanced salary. That arbitrage is now eliminated, and employer contribution costs rise accordingly. On ESOPs, the codes do not directly regulate employee stock ownership plans. But the indirect effect is real. When mandatory wage and benefit costs rise, the cash available for total compensation packages decreases. Startups trying to attract senior talent with ESOP-heavy packages now face tighter margins between what they can afford as fixed cost and what they can offer as equity. The design of ESOP pools needs to factor in this new cost environment. And on overall cost structure, for early-stage startups, particularly those pre-Series A, the cumulative impact of mandatory PF contributions, SE premiums, gratuity provisioning, and minimum wage compliance can increase the true cost per hire by 15 to 25% above what informal arrangements previously cost. This is not trivial. It directly affects burn rate projections, fundraising requirements, and the calculation of how long a startup's runway actually is. For India's gig economy and platform startups, the Social Security Code 2020 is arguably the single most transformational piece of legislation. For the first time, gig workers, delivery partners, rideshare drivers, freelance marketplace workers, home service providers are legally recognized as a distinct category entitled to Social Security protections. This is genuinely progressive for workers. But for the platforms that power them, it introduces substantial new obligations. Platform startups must now contribute to Provident Fund, insurance, and pension schemes for their gig worker networks. For a company like a food delivery platform with tens of thousands of delivery partners, or a freelance marketplace with hundreds of thousands of registered service providers, this is a massive operational and financial challenge. It requires sophisticated systems to track hours, classify worker types accurately, calculate contributions correctly, and submit compliance reports on time. The creator economy faces similar complexity. Platforms hosting freelance educators, online tutors, or digital content creators may face contribution obligations depending on how those contracts are classified. Whether a content creator is a gig worker or an independent contractor under the code is a definitional question that platforms must answer carefully and get right. What do smart platforms do? They invest in digital HR systems that can handle this at scale. They audit every worker relationship and reclassify where needed. They re-examine pricing models to absorb the new per worker cost. And, perhaps most importantly, they use their compliance as a competitive advantage. Platforms that offer social security protections attract more committed, reliable worker networks than those that do not. Let us be honest about the compliance burden these codes create for startups, because this is where the gap between large companies and early-stage founders becomes most visible. First, record keeping and reporting. Startups must maintain employment registers, wage payment records, PF and SE contribution logs, and safety compliance documentation. These are not optional. And they must be audit-ready at all times. For a startup founder who is simultaneously building a product, managing customers, fundraising, and running operations, this is a significant time and energy drain. Second, employee classification. Getting this right is both legally critical and genuinely complex. Full-time employees, contractual staff, fixed-term workers, gig workers, and platform workers are all treated differently across the four codes. Misclassification, even unintentional, can trigger penalties, backdated contributions, and audits. Third, state-level variation. Because labor is a concurrent subject in India's constitution, each state frames its own rules under the central codes. Thresholds differ, timelines differ, and exemptions differ. A startup with offices in Delhi, Bengaluru, and Mumbai is essentially navigating three different compliance environments simultaneously. The one genuine upside, consolidating 40+ laws into 4 does reduce legal complexity at the reference level. There is now a single statute to consult for each domain, which is more navigable than the old patchwork. The practical relief, payroll and HR software platforms can automate much of this. Tools like Zoho Payroll, Darwinbox, and Kika handle contribution calculations, compliance reporting, and classification tracking. But they cost money, and bootstrap startups may need to factor this investment into their budget planning. Let us talk about money, because how investors view labor compliance is increasingly determining which startups get funded and at what valuation. On the risk side, non-compliance with PF, SE, or wage regulations creates audit exposure, litigation risk, and potential backdated liability. During due diligence for a Series A or B round, any of these issues will be surfaced, and they are deal breakers for institutional investors. Undisclosed HR liabilities have killed funding rounds. High mandatory costs also affect the fundamental financial metrics investors care about: profit margins, contribution margins, and cash runway. A startup that modeled its unit economics before the codes came into force may find those models no longer hold. And growth models built on large gig workforces now require a credible compliance narrative. Investors want to see that a platform-based startup has a plan and the systems to handle social security obligations for its worker network. On the opportunity side, startups that get ahead of compliance build something genuinely valuable: institutional credibility. Venture capitalists and angel investors consistently rate clean governance and structured HR practices as positive signals. They indicate that the founding team can operate a company, not just build a product. Early compliance also attracts better talent. Candidates at senior levels increasingly check employment contract quality, benefit structure, and PF compliance before accepting offers. A compliant startup is more attractive to the people it needs most. The key insight at the bottom of the screen captures it perfectly: labor compliance is now a due diligence item in every serious funding round. Treat it as infrastructure, not paperwork. Not all startups feel the same pressure from the new labor codes. Sector and workforce composition are the primary determinants of impact intensity. SaaS and technology startups, typically employing skilled office workers, face the lightest burden. The main changes are the basic wage restructuring under the Code on Wages and the associated increase in PF contributions. This is manageable and primarily affects how salary packages are structured rather than operations. Impact: low to medium. D2C and e-commerce startups feel the OSH code more acutely, particularly those with warehousing and last-mile delivery operations. Worker safety compliance, minimum wage rules for delivery staff, and the social security requirements for gig delivery partners all add cost and complexity. Impact: medium. EdTech startups face complexity around contract educator classification and seasonal hiring constraints. The formalization of fixed-term employment under the Industrial Relations Code changes how they structure agreements with tutors and content creators. Impact: medium. Fintech startups are relatively insulated. Their compliance burden is primarily around payroll restructuring and documentation. Impact: low. Logistics startups face high impact, particularly from the gig worker social security obligations under the Social Security Code and the OSH code's requirements for delivery fleet safety. For startups with thousands of delivery partners, this is a very significant operational challenge. Impact: high. And manufacturing startups face the highest combined burden. The full weight of all four codes applies: OSH safety requirements, IA code layoff rules, wage code compliance, and social security contributions. Impact: very high. Know where your startup sits on the spectrum and plan your compliance investment accordingly. So, will India's new labor codes crush or boost the startup ecosystem? Let us bring this to a conclusion from three perspectives. For founders, the short-term challenge is real. High fixed costs, slower hiring flexibility, and gig worker compliance complexity are not trivial concerns. But the opportunity is also genuine. Founders who invest in structured HR systems now are building a foundation that makes their companies more fundable, more scalable, and more attractive to high-quality talent. The action item is clear: treat compliance infrastructure as a core business investment, not a regulatory burden. For HR leaders and startups, the codes are actually an elevation of the HR function. You are no longer just administering payroll, you are managing legal risk, attracting talent, and protecting investor confidence. Yes, the classification audits and multi-state compliance management are demanding. But this is also an opportunity to build the HR systems that a serious growth stage company needs and to demonstrate strategic value to founders and boards. For investors, the codes change the risk calculus meaningfully. Non-compliant startups carry hidden liabilities that can surface during due diligence or post-investment. But compliant startups, those that have invested in clean HR practices, documented employment structures, and social security compliance, are more predictable, less legally exposed, and frankly more professional businesses to back. Labor compliance should now be a standard item on every investor's due diligence checklist. The honest verdict: the new labor codes are neither purely a threat nor purely a boost. They raise the bar. Startups that rise to meet it will be stronger for it. Those that ignore it will pay the price, at due diligence, at scale, or in court. And that brings us to the end of today's critical analysis. Let us close with the honest verdict: will India's new labor codes crush or boost the startup ecosystem? The answer is neither and both. It depends on how fast startups adapt. For founders who ignore the codes, treating compliance as an afterthought, misclassifying workers, skipping PF contributions, or postponing HR system investment, the codes will feel like a crushing burden when the audit comes, when the funding round due diligence uncovers the gaps, or when a worker dispute escalates. For founders who engage proactively, structuring employment correctly from day one, investing in payroll and HR software, understanding which codes apply to their sector, and building compliance into their operational DNA, the codes become a competitive advantage. They attract better talent. They build investor confidence. They create scalable HR systems. And they avoid the costly legal cleanups that catch up with fast-growing but non-compliant companies. The key message is captured in the line on screen: compliance is not the enemy of innovation. It is the foundation of sustainable growth. India's startup ecosystem is maturing. The days of building on informal, unstructured employment foundations are ending. The next generation of Indian startups will be built on a foundation of responsible, transparent, and legally compliant employment, and they will be stronger for it. ILMS Academy's certificate course in labor laws is designed to give founders, HR leaders, and legal practitioners the in-depth understanding they need to navigate this landscape confidently. The link is on your screen. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. Until next time.